Welcome to today's webinar on everything you need to know about Engagement 2.0. My name is Madeline Edlin, and I work with the Equitable Food Initiative, or EFI. And just a little context, EFI serves as the supporting organization behind ECIP, managing the technical platform and convening the advisory group. Over the past year, ECIP has gained momentum and continued to build a shared baseline of social responsibility across the produce industry. ECIP is an industry-wide collaboration led by major buyers and suppliers, all committed to supporting the fresh produce supply chain on a continuous improvement journey towards more responsible labor practices. ECIP is guided by an advisory group that includes Walmart, Sam's Club, Costco, Kroger, Target, and McDonald's, along with 4 of their supplier partners. It is designed to stay relevant through updates that ensure ECIP remains responsive to evolving needs of retailers, suppliers, and growers. Today, during this session, we will highlight the major changes that you'll see in Engagement 2.0 and walk through everything you need to know about this new release. And we'll also include a demo of the new grower experience. Couple of things before we get any further. If you have questions at any point today, feel free to use the chat or the Q&A little button down below if you're on Zoom, or the chat feature if you're watching on LinkedIn. We're going to gather all of those up and save them at the end for a live Q&A session with our panel. Also, this session is being recorded and will be emailed out to everybody who's here and anybody who registered for the event in a couple of days. So if you have a colleague that wasn't able to make it, no big deal. They'll get their recording, in a couple of days. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Kim Combe, who sits on the EFI board, the ECIP advisory group, and is the supplier and risk compliance manager at Kroger. Kim, welcome. You are on mute, so hit that button before you get any further. There you go.
I forgot it was going to do that.
Correct.
So, yes, good morning, good afternoon, and even possibly good evening to some of you. My name is Kim Combs. I lead Kroger's social compliance and human rights due diligence programs. I recently celebrated my 24th year with the company, having served in roles across manufacturing, food safety and quality, product recalls, and supplier risk and compliance. And today I'm honored to welcome you on behalf of the ECIP Advisory Group. We applaud your engagement in this important conversation. Your presence here signals a shared commitment to strengthening labor practices across the fresh produce industry. The advisory group is proud to support EFI's vision, and we're excited to see so many of you joining us as we launch ECIP 2.0. At Kroger, ECIP is a vital tool in our broader strategy to gain deeper insight into our fresh produce supply chain. With over 11 million customers visiting our stores each day, we rely on a vast network of suppliers and growers, including many of you participating in today's webinar. ECIP helps us better understand and support the people behind the produce, ensuring that our company values are reflected throughout the supply chain. This year's ECIP 2.0 release is a meaningful step forward. It reflects how the program continues to evolve, raising expectations in a way that encourages all of us to take a fresh look at how we support responsible labor practices. It's not about perfection, but about progress. So let me repeat that. It's not about perfection, but about progress. Each year, we have the opportunity to reflect, reevaluate, and take action that moves us closer to the kind of supply chain we all want to be a part of. Thank you for being a part of this journey, and together I truly believe we can drive meaningful and lasting change.
Thank you, Kim. Great to hear from you and see you. Before I get any further, I do want to mention that Alexandra Martinez from my team is running all tech. So if you see a ghost off screen, that's why. Kim, thank you so much. And next up, I would like to introduce Kenton Harmer, Director of Market-Based Impact with EFI.
Yeah, thanks, Madeline. And I just want to sort of build on where Kim left it, because it's just a great tagline. This isn't about perfection. This is about progress. And Engagement 2.0 is the most clear manifestation of how you do systems change, step by step by step, right? So coming in the first year, like many of you did, in fact, a huge outpouring of support from the industry in the first year. And that was to get everybody into one place and on the same journey. Now, what we do with Engagement 2.0 and in the future, as we continue to iterate, is to keep moving the floor up a little bit, very methodically, very intentionally, with a lot of input from the industry. But we use Engagement 2.0 and these cycles of engagement campaigns to just say, okay, now that we're 3 years into this, 4 years, 10 years into this, what does it look like to be continuing to be able to show progress to your most important customers? So with Engagement 2.0 launching today, and we're going to show you what it looks like. It's just, I think you're going to find a much more streamlined experience. It's going to be much more straightforward, and it's going to be able to help you sort of really show that your organization is credibly engaged in the progress needed to align with the ethical charter. So what's the work for you now? If you're a supplier, is go back to your grower network, make sure they know that they have a period of time right now to go back into ECIP, into Grower Lab, and to re-earn those stars slightly differently with a better experience. Then as a supplier, you should also be going back in. We're going to ask you the same 17 questions that we asked you last time. Take another look at them, take some time, make sure you're really being intentional, talk internally with your organization, and put yourself where you think you are. And it'll be interesting to see, have you made progress in a certain area over time since last year? So we're going to want to see a lot of movement in Grower Lab and a lot of movement in Supplier Lab. And by doing this, we're going to be able to show people like Kim, the rest of the advisory group, your crucial customers, really who's in play, who's doing the work around aligning with the ethical charter, and giving them the ability to then support the highly engaged folks, because they consider the more engaged you are, the lower risk you present and stuff. So this is a way of getting credit for your work. This is a way of showing that you're involved in this systems change that's going to happen iteratively through things like Engagement 2.0. So we're really looking forward to see what you all can do in the system between now and September 30th, when the buyer dashboard gets re-updated for the buyers so that they can see all the work that you're doing. And we're really excited to be able to be here and support you through this journey. So you'll see on the webinar a little bit later on our support address. We really encourage you to reach out directly. So with that, Madeline, I will pass it back to you.
All right. Thank you, Kenton. Great to have that little chit chat with you. I guess I wasn't there. A chit chat from Kenton. All right. Up next, I would like to introduce Deanna Monroe, Technical Product Manager, EFI, to give us a little demo on what's changed. Hi, Deanna. How are you?
Hi, Madeline. I'm wonderful. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Excited to see what's new and updated and changed. You take it from here.
I will. Let me go ahead and get my screen share going. Give me 1 second. Let's start that again. With the release of Engagement 2.0, there are new features that were added based on user feedback and user behavior. As Kenton mentioned, both user types will have to go back into the platform to re-earn those stars, those engagement stars. But today I will be running through the new grower experience. So the default landing page for growers is now a welcome page that prompts them to begin their assessment rather than the learn channel, streamlining their initial interaction. So we're going to click on the Let's Get Started. Here we have a couple of introductory questions that are added to the assessment, just making sure that the grower user understands that the goal of completing the assessment is to respond and engage credibly. And then they're gonna get into the 54 assessment questions, the same as Engagement 1.0. It's just they're re-answering those questions. And then after answering those 54 questions, they're going to be asked how they're engaging with the learning channel. Specifically for those 54 questions that they answered, we are struggling or we are developing. They're going to be asked, again, how comfortable they are providing documentation for those questions that they answered, we are doing well, or we are setting an example for our peers. And then just confirming if their workforce was surveyed, if their answers to those assessment questions would reflect what their workforce would say. And again, verifying if they would be willing to provide documentation to other ECIP suppliers and their buying partners. There's some questions related to FLCs and recruitment practices. And then one of the big additions that we've added is identifying your growing locations. You can mark as many locations as you want. You can get as broad as you want or as detailed as you want. You can zoom in. As I said, you can put as many pins as you want. If you want to remove a pin, just click on that pin to remove it. And we're also now tracking what commodities each grower grows, so you can check as many boxes as needed. So we can grow blackberries and Brussels sprouts and all those good things. And then we're going to go to the benchmark page. Oop. So the benchmark page has been updated as well. So the benchmark page has always been a tool designed to help you create an action plan for those assessment questions that you've answered that you're struggling or that you're improving. So it's going to help you get to where you need to be, where you're setting an example for that particular management system. You're going to be able to track your progress through the assessment. You're going to be able to look at your engagement profile and see what stars you've earned, which stars that you need to continue to earn. Based on your responses to the assessment, you'll be able to get some recommended resources. So these resources are tailored to how you responded to the assessment. And then something that's new as well is the assessment response pie chart. You'll be able to see how you responded to each of the ethical charter principles by principle and then by response here in the pie chart. And then you'll be able to break down how you answered per management system as you did in Engagement 1.0. And then I wanted to show everyone. So if you navigate to the company section, you'll be able to manage your commodities grown. So if you don't grow cucumbers anymore, you can uncheck that. Or if your growing locations have changed, you can remove your pins, you can add pins, etc. So then lastly, let's review the new engagement profile criteria. So the certification is the same. One of those 16 ECIP vetted benchmark programs, send that into support@ethicalcharterprogram.org. We'll vet it and your grower will receive free access and they will earn that gold star. The assessment channel, you have to complete the assessment and complete that added question asserting that you're engaging credibly. And then these two questions are also incorporated into the assessment portion. You can answer them there or you can answer them here on the benchmark page. The advanced engagement, you can again answer those on this page or they're incorporated into the assessment. You can answer them in either place. And then the recruitment star is also in the assessment and you can answer on this page as well, related to the Stronger Together Responsible Recruitment Toolkit, the Verite Recruitment Cost Calculator, and then asking if you use farm labor contractors. And with that, I will stop sharing and give it back to Madeline.
Thanks, Deanna. That was great. Very exciting changes. All right, we've left a ton of time for questions, so keep those questions coming. And at this point, I would like to bring Kenton and Kim back up to the stage to get at some questions we've already had coming in. First and foremost, I will answer the first one. Yes, this recording and slides will be shared. If you've registered and are watching, or if you registered and you didn't join, you will get the presentation and the recording in the next couple of days. So no worries there. And then for questions that I am not able to answer, here's one for you. Oh, hold on, it just moved. Why would you have to re-earn stars that have already been earned?
Yeah, why don't I take that one, Madeline? So I just want to sort of go back to really point out, what we, at the advice of the advisory group, what we did not build was a compliance program, was a program where we're going to try and send an auditor to all of your farms or your home offices and have a zero tolerance regime and that sort of thing. We don't think that that's how you change an entire industry all at once. The advisory group really saw the vision of using continuous improvement. So continuous improvement means let's get everybody in to one place on the same journey, and then over time we're going to keep sort of taking iterative steps upwards in terms of what it means to be credibly engaged in the work, right? So Amy, this is why we're having you come back into the system, and so really two things. One is the business environment is so dynamic that maybe you're in a different place than you were last time you answered the 54 management system questions if you're a grower. So just take a look. Is anything changed in your business world where you're actually doing better in some areas, or you're struggling a little bit more in other areas? So it's a chance to come back into the system and say, okay, in today's world, where's my organization at? And then in terms of that systems change, is that raising the floor, we want you to come back in and demonstrate engagement slightly differently, and it just every year in a more just slightly more complex way, so that what we're seeing is that as an industry, we're really taking on this work and we're really raising the floor over time using this engagement star concept.
Perfect. Thank you, Kenton. I'm going to bundle these two together. Okay, so it has to do with the benchmark certifications. If you have a benchmark certification, do you have to answer the 51 questions? And also, do you have to resend that certification that you've previously sent?
I can take that one, Madeline. So it all depends on what if you're a grower, what your supplier requirements are and what their buyer requirements are. The gold star is equivalent to earning all 4 green stars. So it's optional to complete the assessment if you have that qualifying gold star. You can add the certificate information yourself in the platform to earn the gold star, but to get the waive subscription fee, you have to send the certificate into support at ethicalcharterprogram.org. If you've already sent it in and that certificate doesn't expire for a year, 2 years, you don't have to resend it. Those subscription dates are valid for the length of the certificate. So only resend it for the waive fee if it expired.
Got it. So they're good to go as long as the certificate hasn't expired. It has nothing to do with this new engagement 2.0, right?
They would have to re-enter the certificate information into the platform to get the gold star.
Gotcha. Awesome. Thanks for that clarification. All right. Keeping rocking and rolling, people. What happens if a grower doesn't complete the assessment by the September 30 deadline?
I can take that one too, Madeline.
Back at you.
So if the grower doesn't complete the assessment by September 30th, the star will show as not earned to the supplier. So on that supplier's grower dashboard, for that particular grower, it'll show that star won't be filled in and that star will not be earned for that grower. And in turn, it will make it more difficult for that supplier to earn their grower engagement star, which then shows up on the buyer dashboard.
Fantastic. All right, let's see if this one goes to you too. For new growers joining ECIP after July 14th today, will they follow the updated Engagement 2.0 criteria or start with the previous version?
I'll also take that one.
All right.
Yes, so any growers in the platform as of today and moving forward, yes, they will earn stars based on the new criteria that I just outlined.
Fantastic. Feel free to add more questions as we go through. Here's another one, retailer related. Will retailers be able to see our updated engagement profiles right away?
I'll jump into that one as a retailer, but I can have backup from the team as well. But my understanding is that not right away. So the answer is no for a short term. We want to allow time for each of you to do the work and answer the questions. And then in the future, that information will become available to us. Kenton, you want to back me up on that?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So as a grower and as a supplier, you have until September 30th before your customers, the retailers, start to see the work that you've accomplished in Engagement 2.0. So we're giving you a period of time to work out of sight of your important customers. But come September 30th, all the stars that you've been able to earn up to that point will then become live data and buyer facing.
Awesome. Here's another one for you, Kim. From the retailer perspective, what improvements have you seen in this Engagement 2.0 about the things you want to learn from suppliers and labor practices?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one of the things I would say is that the program is new, right? So I think that from my perspective and our perspective at Kroger is this is not a quick win type program of, oh, we've been in this for 6 months and we're going to see all the changes today. That this is, we're in this for the long term of growth across the industry. And so one of the things that I would say is probably most positive on our end is our ability to communicate within our teams and within our category management and sourcing teams about this initiative, and with suppliers who are engaged and being able to recognize those. And so I think that as our initial quick win is very beneficial internally from my view and my seat within our social compliance and human rights due diligence function. Moving forward, of course, we tend to expect to get deeper into the weeds with details of the specifics around the program. But I think starting out, just like your teams on your end are trying to figure out how this works, how you answer questions and engage, we too are learning to work with a new system, with new tools, and understanding how those incorporate into our daily practices. So hopefully that shines some light on the program. But you know, we all are learning, and I think that's the key takeaway, but there's no doubt that on our end, we have much more visibility and information to share within our teams than we did before.
Great. Thanks, Kim. All right, got another one. I noticed that you're asking for documentation in order for us to qualify for 2 stars. Tell me about what I have to do.
Yeah, so what you have to do, and the reason why that language is in there, is you have to engage with the system credibly. So we've really leaned in 2.0 to make sure that both as a supplier and a grower, you really understand that the responses that you put to each of the management systems that you're being queried against are not shared outside of your organization. Okay, so there is no benefit to overgrading yourself, and there's no punitive action that follows, you know, showing that you're struggling in some area. So by getting every organization sort of with a baseline that can be the start of this continuous improvement journey, that is really critical. And it's critical also because then the platform is going to give you a set of resources that are really tailored to where you are at. All right. So the most important thing that we want you to be thinking about as you're going through the process of the assessment channel, again, in either grower lab or supplier lab, is just what fits my organization today, and to be able to do that in that feeling of a safe harbor, so that your answers can be very accurate. So what we have done in Engagement 2.0 is there's a couple places we say, as you are making that assessment, have in your mind your own validation check is, if you were asked for documentation to back up this answer. So think particularly, like, if you're answering everything really high, number one, that may be great. That may be where your organization is at. But if you were to come along and have to sort of validate each of those high responses with documentation, would you be able to do that? And that's the check that we want you to do really with all of these things, is really keep in mind, no benefit for overgrading, no penalty for not being great at things right now and stuff. So come into this with the idea that if you had to justify or defend your answer, you would be very, very comfortable doing so, because that means you're in the system in the best possible way. Then you're showing that you're credibly engaging in continuous improvement.
Great, thanks, Kenton, for that clarification. All right, can a supplier create a dummy account as a grower to understand how a grower will see the program? Deanna, probably to you.
Yeah, I can answer that. If I'm interpreting that question correctly, I think the best way a supplier can understand how the grower is experiencing lab is to look at the questions, the assessment questions, and the resources there attached. So when you log into lab as a supplier, if you go up to the Learn channel, on the left-hand side, you'll have your sections with your supplier questions, but right underneath it, it'll say grower assessment. And you can open up all 12 ethical charter principles and then the management systems there and attached, and understand how the resources are attached, and understand the management systems and the questions that the grower is being asked. The user experience is very similar between the grower and the supplier. The benchmark page looks exactly the same. The assessment questions are obviously different, but the interface is very similar. But I would imagine that's where the question is headed. But I would direct suppliers to the Learn channel to understand the questions and the resources available to the growers.
Okay, great. That's a great resource. All right, this one's kind of long, so pay attention, everybody. Were crop year cycles considered when determining the deadline of September 30? For example, growers are 100% focused on crop year growing season and harvesting right now. The off season is January through March would be more realistic for participation.
Yeah, I'll take that one again, Madeline. Yes, a lot of things were taken into consideration, different business cycles, different crop cycles. The reality is, with over 1,100 growers in the system already, is somebody's in peak the whole time, the whole year. And there were needs from our advisory group, particularly from the retailers, around when they needed access to this information that they're all using in various ways as risk assessment, or as Kim said, to really support our highly engaged growers. So yeah, the easy answer is there's no good date to do this. We tried to make the best possible date, realizing that it's a crunch season for some folks and it's an off season for others.
Yeah, sounds good. All right. This one sounds vertically integrated. If our company is the grower and the supplier, do our answers and reports as the grower count towards our supplier scores and results? Is that clear, Dee?
Yeah.
Great.
And yes, it does. If you're vertically integrated and you're completing the assessment and you're engaging credibly as the grower, your engagement as the grower feeds into your engagement profile and helps you as a supplier show up favorably and show up as credibly engaged to the buyers on the buyer dashboard, 100%.
Great. I'm going to give it a couple more minutes, but that is the end of what we've had submitted so far. But does anybody else have any questions? We have the ECIP team. Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. They're coming in. All right. Oh, yeah. Good job, guys. Good job. Look at this. What participation we have. All right. Starting at the top. Is it possible to remove a producer who was in the previous period but is no longer our supplier this season?
Yes, I'll take that one, Madeline. Yes. Just reach out to us at support@ethicalcharterprogram.org. I'm sure we have that email somewhere, or maybe we can pop it in the chat because I've probably said it like 15 times. Yeah, just reach out to us. Let us know which grower, and we'll remove them as a connection from your supplier account.
Great. Easy. And Alexander can definitely pop that support email in the chat for us. It'd be great. All right. Are the questions the same as before, or are they different? Is it different how?
Yeah, let me take this one, Madeline. The questions. So grower lab, 54 management systems, supplier lab, 17 management systems. Those are identical, engagement 1.0 and engagement 2.0. We're not asking you to assess yourself to different management systems. The change has been in how you demonstrate credible engagement through the learn and the assessment process on either grower lab or supplier lab. But yeah, just unequivocally and very, very clear, it is the same questions again. That's going to give you the ability to sort of track your own progress over multiple years.
Great, thanks, Kenton. All right, I believe this relates to an earlier question, but I could be wrong. I'd like to be able to share all of the data the grower will need before they log in to answer the questions. Is there a quick start guide document where we can share with the growers in an email?
Yes. If you want a PDF of all 54 of the assessment questions and the related management systems, we can definitely share that after the webinar, if that's what they're referring to.
Yeah, we definitely have that in English and Spanish. It is on the website too. But we can, yes, we can
Yeah.
pop links in the chat. They are on the website.
And we can also share, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
We can also share, we have some really nice one-pagers related to how all user types earn their engagement stars as well, which might be helpful. We'll put together a little packet and maybe include it with the recording and the slides or whatever else to everyone.
Yeah, for sure. And then if you go to the website, there's growers and suppliers, and you can pop down how growers earn stars and how suppliers earn stars. There's PDF versions of both of those linked at the top of those pages. All right, back to it. Okay, the growers who subscribed last year can still have a waived fee as long as they have a valid certificate, benchmark certification, I'm guessing.
Right, as long as they have one of those 16 benchmarked certificates, just send that into support and we will waive the fee. Those users will still need to log into the platform to enter in the certificate information to earn the gold star though.
Great. Okay. If the supplier has any of the 16 certifications, is it necessary to still complete the assessment questions?
Yeah. And let me take this one just because this is a common question, and there's some nuances here that I just want to pull apart. So first off, the certifications, the 16 certifications are grower facing, right? These are for growing operations. So there isn't a case where a supplier who's exclusively a supplier, not vertically integrated, is the program. There isn't a certification program for suppliers. The certification program is for growers. So if you do have a grower that has one of the 16, then participation and engagement with the rest of the platform is at their own discretion. It is optional. We know that from our EFI certified growers, there's still lots that they have learned and benefited from in going in and looking at some of those management systems, and particularly the resources we have around them. But that's optional. If you have your grower gold star through a certification, then everything past that is demonstrating a very high level of engagement And that's what benefits your suppliers. And then ultimately your suppliers get benefit in the face of their customers.
Great. Also, everybody, Kim's looking bored, so we need more questions for Kim. But in the meantime, where do standalone packing sheds fit into the grower supplier continuum?
Yeah, so if the packing sheds, and it's a bit of a case by case, and what we've been doing is Deanna's support team has been helping people figure out if there is a large workforce, right? So grower lab is really about employment practices of farm workers. So if we have we have packing sheds that have a significant workforce, they are employers, therefore they should be in grower lab. If it's more a packer shipper and they have a contractual relationship with one of our buying partners, then we're going to ask them to come into supplier lab. And sort of trying to make that determination is reach out to us. There is sort of some criteria we can walk everybody through to make sure you're in the exact right place.
Great. All right. I'm having a little bit of a hard time wording this one, but stick with me here. Were the options for answers changed? Oh, I just jumped. Changed this time to reflect for the growers that the question would not apply to. For instance, a housing question. Is an NA a not applicable available? Not all growers have housing, at least not in our area. This would be one of the biggest complaints and holdups of last time.
Yeah, so there is skip logic built into engagement 2.0, and it's for both housing and FLCs. Not everybody has them. So if you answer yes, then that takes you on to the screens that you need to see. And if you answer no, then you skip past the FLC and the housing screens.
Great. And then actually I can answer this one. Is what is showing on the ECIP website still engagement 2.0 instead of engagement 1.0 instead of 2.0? Besides the slides and recording, is ECIP going to share other resources so that we can, oh man, you guys, is ECIP going to share more resources so we suppliers can share with our growers in an email? Yes, we have a landing page that Alexandra, if you wouldn't mind popping in the chat, has a bunch of resources for engagement 2.0, including this criteria for the stars. We didn't want to update the website normal page with how growers earn stars until today. So that page will be being updated, but everything is available as a resource on it's ethicalcharter.org/engagement2. And Alexandra can put that in the
Ethical
chat.
Charter Program, I believe, .org.
Thank you. Don't take my word for it. Take the link in the chat's word for it. All right. Will there be any changes to what the buyer dashboard looks like when it re-releases on September 30?
There's going to be some updates. The gist of the buyer dashboard is it shows every supplier that's in the ECIP ecosystem rankable by engagement, right? So if you're highly engaged, you end up on the top of the list, and then the list goes down. The updates in engagement 2.0 that for buyers roll out on September 30th are going to be much more advanced filtering and sorting options, so that by having suppliers go onto the map that Deanna showed you and tell us where your growing operations are, right? And just to be clear, I know it's very sensitive information. You know, if you get us to the county level, that's really helpful, because we're going to have buyers that are going to be saying, okay, so for my October buy of strawberries, I want to see who is available to me, and how engaged each of them are, as part of them being able to sort of make their purchasing and procurement decisions, adding in this engagement data. So the buyers are really going to see a lot more advanced just in terms of the usability of the buyer dashboard. But the main thrust of the buyer dashboard is to make it very easy and possible for them to reward the most highly engaged suppliers, that will just be enhanced.
Great. And this is a little bit more of a feedback, but if you have any responses to it, it would be helpful as a shipper packer to be able to take the assessment as a grower so we understand the grower's exact experience. Great. Anything else, everybody? Leaving space for those of you who haven't submitted your questions that you're holding on to. There we go. Do I understand correctly that a supplier with a grower who has completed the 54 questions and who has one of the 16th certifications would be ranked higher than a supplier whose grower only has one of the certifications but did not complete the questionnaire? So gold and green stars.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, technically, yes, with just with a vertical list, they do show up higher. That's just an engineering thing. The important thing is that folks at organizations like Kim's, the buyers, the merchants, the folks that you're negotiating POs with, we really do a lot of work so that they understand that pursuing the green stars once you have the gold star is optional, and stuff. So we want to make sure that the folks that don't have certification option available to them end up in the suppliers and buyers mind as being as credibly engaged as those with the certification.
Great. And we got a question to the panelists back here. Is there a way to download all of our questions and responses? Like I said, this is being recorded and you will get the recording in your inbox. If you need something transcribed or something different, just reach out to the support email and we can get something sorted for you.
Right. And that may also refer to the 54 management systems and the 17 management systems. Again, we do have collateral designed for that. So perhaps that's one of the things that either find it on the website or perhaps we can package that in with the post-webinar email that goes out.
Yeah, hopefully that answers whatever your actual question was.
Madeline, I just wanted to chime in while there's a pause and questions coming in and just say, one, I appreciate the questions that have come in. I think it shows your level of engagement and trying to figure it all out. And I think that's great. And I will also say that it demonstrates the complexity of this type of program and situation, which just highlights why, as retailers, we're working together to try and figure this out, because this would be a silly thing for us each to be doing on our own and have complex systems that we would expect each of you to try and figure out. So I hope that that is appreciated, but I think that just comes through all of these questions to understand that this is absolutely a collaborative engagement that is certainly necessary in this space.
Yeah, thanks, Kim. That's such a great point. This is very engaged and everybody's asking the right questions. So what a place to be in. And in that slight pause, we got another question. So hold on. I just looked at the Engagement 2.0 website. The section about how to earn engagement stars in Engagement 2.0 refers to how growers earn only, right? What about instructions for suppliers?
Yeah, so right now, with Engagement 2.0, the green stars in Grower Lab change and the gold star remains the same. In Supplier Lab, it's the opposite. The way suppliers earned green stars in Engagement 1.0, that remains the same. And we will be introducing through all of the channels very shortly how suppliers are going to be able to earn a gold star prior to when the buyer dashboard goes live again on September 30th.
Right, everybody. The rule at EFI is, I think is it 30 seconds or 60 seconds where we wait for final questions? It's a long time, so don't make me sit here for that full minute. I don't think I could make it. All right, any final questions on the technical side, retailer side, supplier side, grower side? This is last call. Or you guys are just so fabulous. You answered all of the questions, nothing left. All right, seeing none, I'm going to go over a couple of upcoming webinars that we are offering. And if you think of more questions while I'm going over this, feel free to pop them in. We'll get them. On July 30th, we have an office hour that will be in English. So you can join that one. It'll be the same time as this webinar, 10 a.m. PST and 1 p.m. EST. So you can just come. It gives you a little bit of time to be in the platform and see what's new, and then bring any questions that you have. We'll have Deanna on the technical side and Kenton for the everything else. But feel free to register for that through the QR code. And then on August 6th, we'll host the exact same thing, but it will be in Spanish. So if you're a grower or if you are mainly Spanish speaking, hop on that one on August 6th, 10 a.m. and 1 p.m., depending on your time zone. Seeing no other questions popping in while we went over that, we've got time for one more, right? We're down? We're down. Okay, we're down. 2 months of engagement time with all growers, to be honest, is not a lot of time, with not a lot of resources for suppliers and growers yet. Will ECIP consider extending the deadline?
Yeah, so that's ultimately an advisory group decision. And we will be monitoring the data very carefully and that sort of thing. But I would say don't orient towards an extension. It's most likely to stay where we're at. And remember, going right back to what Kim said, right? This isn't about perfection. This is about progress. This is about the journey. So yeah, it's a short period of time. We will support you any way that we can during this time. But once the buyer dashboard goes live again on September 30th, that's not the end of it, right? If you're close to earning another star, but it doesn't happen until October 15th, you're still going to get that star, right? That's you still will be able to earn that. So you need to just show that you're on the journey with us on September 30th, and please don't sort of think of that as an endpoint, but just another moment as we really move the whole industry towards alignment with the ethical charter.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Kenton. All right, for real this time, everybody. Thanks for coming. Thanks for being here. And thanks to the attendees. There's that support email one more time. If you think of anything else, shoot us an email, and we'll see you next time.